All right, over here at the top left, a player who took out MVP, great member of the Team Slayers, does well in the Team League. He is
Slayers GanZI.
Slayers GanZI. His opponent down here at the bottom left, someone who knows mixed martial arts, he is
Slayers MMA.
If I had one thing to say about MMA, I'd say that. Not to mention all the other things he's done. He's won games against awesome foreign players after killing his own command center. Only MMA can do that. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you should by now. I mean, there's no excuse, guys. If you guys are StarCraft fans, you surf Team Liquid, you surf Reddit, you surf like Gosu Gamers, you should know by now. Look up Idra, MMA, Command Center, something like that, and you'll see a very funny, interesting situation. If you haven't seen that yet, treat yourself. Go look that up. It's pretty funny. All right, so right off the bat, we see a barracks going down for MMA, but GanZI, he is actually going to build his barracks a little bit later, or maybe he's sending an SCV down. He may be thinking about going for a really fast command center, but where is he sending that SCV? Where is he sending it? He's going to send an SCV back to make a command center in his base. I was like, is he going to send that SCV to make a fast CC outside of his natural? Because that would be a little too brave, GanZI. But no, he is going to make his 15 CC back at his backdoor expansion safely. So that was just a scouting SCV. He ran it by the natural to check for proxies, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, is he going to make a CC there? Then his SCV was running all over the map. I was like, he's going to hide a CC maybe?
Is under attack.
So MMA does get in here. There's really no way his opponent could have stopped him. If you skip that barracks, you don't have the Marine out to defend. Now, how will MMA react to this? He's got a lot of different options. It looks like he wants to kind of go into a one racks expand himself. He's got the SCV over there. But he's got another option now. He could try to make a few barracks and kill his opponent. But that would not be MMA style. MMA not a cheeser, not an all-inner. Likes to play it safe, play it smart. So MMA is going to send his first Marine out, though, to take control of the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Maybe pressure with it a little bit up at the front of the ramp. Start attacking those rocks, perhaps. Double gas is going up. GanZI is still sticking with that one barracks for now, as had it his gas at the backdoor expansion. You're starting to see that a lot more. Players getting that gas up. Look, he's actually sent several SCVs to mine gas. That's really smart. I like that. He mines the gas there at that gas, so he gets a ton of extra gas. His SCVs are just waiting to transfer. Gets that gas in, and then sends them to mine. That was pretty cool. I like that. So as you can see, MMA just kind of getting out on the map, checking the Xel'Naga Watchtower locations. Wants to make sure that his opponent is for sure doing what he thinks he is. He has seen the command center, so he's not going to be expecting some sort of crazy proxy barracks scheme that we have seen sometimes in this matchup. In fact, I was off racing as Terran the other day against some Masters players on the EU server. And in TBT, sometimes on big maps like on Terminus, I mean not on Terminus, on Tal'Darim, just like proxy 5 barracks. Make like my first barracks at home and then proxy 5 more barracks. You can win with that sometimes if your opponent goes for a fast CC. But usually it didn't work because they scouted it and made a bunker. Now, GanZI is smartly, in fact, making a bunker. Not for the reason I described, but just to be safe. He knows his Marine count's going to be a little bit lower than his opponent for a while. Doesn't want to have any Hellions run by or anything like that. Getting that bunker up is always safe, and sometimes, in certain cases, it's a little bit much to make the bunker. You know, I've commented on that a few times. I'd be like, oh, I don't really think he... Whoa, that SCV got lucky. Sometimes I feel like it's not necessary to make the bunker, but in most cases, it's okay to make the bunker. You can salvage it later, get most of your money back. But in this case, I think it's a pretty smart move. His opponent's going to have much faster tech than he is. Speaking of tech right now, we're going to see MMA go for Banshees. As you can see, he's about to do that Banshee switch. There needs to be a name for factories and Starport switching to make Banshees. Maybe you call it like he's Bansheeing that Starport. Or, I don't know. There needs to be a verb for that. There's a verb for transferring your SCVs. It's called Maynarding. There's a lot of different StarCraft verbs out there, like cloning. If you guys don't know what cloning is, I don't blame you. It's a StarCraft 1 thing. You don't see it that often in StarCraft 2. But there are words for things like that. One day there'll be a word for switching Starport. and the factory to make Banshees. Now, pre-igniter Hellions are on the way for GanZI. I didn't mention that, but I'm sure you guys have been noticing on the production tab as I was rambling away. He's making a dropship as well. So you may want to do a Marine drop. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. Similarly to last game, going to do a Marine drop, try to use the Hellions at the front. Now, MMA actually doesn't have a bunker, and he doesn't have a wall off either, so those Hellions could easily get into the main. He's actually going to send his dropship here a little early, and luckily he's going to get in before MMA can react. MMA going to run forward here. He's going to try to target down, just barely gets it. Those Marines over there. You know, if you've got that many Marines shooting at one Marine coming out at a time, you can easily beat it. But if the Marines did come out, he would have been in trouble. And oh, he walls it just in time. And those Hellions are not coming inside. The best they can do is burn down some trees. They're going to be elevated in here. Needs to drop them now. Oh, he's going to drop them into the backdoor base. That's pretty clever. I like that. Oh, and those SCVs are all lined up. Well, not anymore because they split themselves, and GanZI was kind of preoccupied with that tank a little bit, so he didn't get as many kills as he could have. But whoa, with that last swipe, I think that was well worth it. Did lose a lot of Marines, so that's pretty huge. Back at home, as you can see, GanZI being a little bit harassed by that Banshee. That Banshee actually got a lot of kills during all of that. She got 11. She may get 12. She does. She does get 12. But does get taken out as the scan and the missile turret and the Viking all finished. There were 3 ways she was going to die, and Viking was the choice. Ooh, MMA saying that second Banshee up didn't do quite as much as her friend. Those Banshees, the other Banshees I was talking about the other day, they were sisters. These Banshees are sisters-in-law. Their husbands are married, or their husbands aren't married. Never mind. So here come these Hellions. and those Hellions completely shut down. I was trying to make a joke there about, the producers are like so confused. They're telling me, you're like, where were we trying to go with that one, Wolf? I don't even know. I was going somewhere with that one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I know a lot of people have been posting on Twitter like, I like that Wolf laughs at his own jokes. I hate that Wolf laughs at his own jokes. I don't do it all the time, but that was one of those times where that joke failed so bad I just had to laugh. So right now, MMA taking a slight supply lead, 85 supply to 68. As far as worker count goes, he has 4 SCVs ahead as well. So because of that Banshee harass was so successful, even though GanZI had his command center up much faster and had a lot more time to build SCVs, he lost a lot of his SCVs. A lot more than MMA lost in that Hellion drop. See some Vikings coming over here, a little bit strange, very aggressive Viking move. They're going to fly right into a missile turret. That was a little weird. They're going to fly into a missile turret again. Did get a shot of it. Maybe one day I'll post on Twitter what I was trying to say about that joke, because I kind of figured it out now, but the time has passed. The Banshees are dead. I'm not laughing at myself now, I'm just laughing at the producers in my ear. Alright, here come the Hellions. They're going to drop in. They've just narrowly avoided those missile turrets. Trying to catch some of these SCVs off guard. And they're running in here doing a little bit of damage. Trying to take out these SCVs. Didn't do as much damage, I don't think, as GanZI wanted. Did kill a significant amount of SCVs. Could have been better for GanZI, though. Alright, so MMA is going to push out here through the center of the map with a relatively large force. Has a few Marauders mixed in there as well. It's 4 Marauders, so if he catches his opponent on siege, those Marauders are going to be very invaluable. Actually sieging up here at the top of this cliff. Wants to maybe think about running the Marauders down when he gets a good moment. Now remember, he has that Xel'Naga Watchtower, so he's going to see the forces breaking down those rocks and trying to avoid that cliff. And in fact, those Hellions will be spotted. They're going to run up here, but they will get shot. See in a second, we'll get a shot of it. The Hellion's going to run by. Oh, they actually completely avoided those siege tanks. Some lucky Hellions. Taking out that Marine. It's very important to have control of the Xel'Naga Watchtowers in this matchup, because you want to be able to spot drops, you want to be able to spot Hellions, but more importantly, you want to be able to spot movements. And those Hellions, they saw the siege tanks, but they forgot, and they went right to that Xel'Naga Watchtower. Xel'Naga Watchtowers are pretty important, but they're not that important. That was the scariest barracks those siege tanks have ever seen. They unsieged right at the side of it. Actually just wants to reposition his tanks at the top of the cliff even further away because he knows his opponent has that barracks over there for vision. Doesn't want to get busted. Wants to keep up that soft contain he's got going. He wants to kind of keep his opponent zoned in that one area. Doesn't want him to come up and be aggressive as he takes his third base, but little does he know, well, actually he just found out with a scan that there's a barracks going down over there. But he's trying to kind of keep his opponent away from where he's building his third command center. His command center is already done and up and running. So again, MMA ahead in the economy, making that faster third command center. Whereas GanZI's trying to make his own, trying to be aggressive at the same time, but it's so much further behind. And if you use the map like MMA is using it, your opponent, even if he has a better army than you, it makes it very difficult to cost-effectively attack. If your opponent has siege tanks sieged up and you've got your unsieged tanks trying to run down, it's not going to work. That barracks should be ignored. Should just run in here and target down this command center and then back up. Gonna get that missile turret as well. Now it looks like a pretty large force where GanZI's gonna try to circumvent this army. He has a lot of Hellions in there. See how long it takes Hellions to kill Marauders? It takes a long time. Now, MMA actually splitting his forces nicely here. Gonna leave some of his forces sieged up outside of that Xel'Naga Watchtower, and some of them going to try to run over here and do a little drop action. May Elevator, all of his forces are just siege up. They'll be up to MMA to decide, but either way, he's going to do a drop into the backdoor expansion. Those siege tanks are going to support them. He can actually follow his Marines back to those siege tanks. The siege tanks help out and support them. But the siege tanks siege up too fast, so he's going to have to kind of skirt around the edge here, taking down those SCVs as best as he can. But he's getting shelled. Or rather, his opponent's getting shelled. Gotta be very careful. There's a lot of TVT comes down. That Banshee uncloaked at the wrong moment. A lot of TVD comes down to what you know your opponent's doing and where you know your opponent is. Because siege tanks do well against siege tanks. If you've got your siege tanks sieged up first, it's very important. If you've got your siege tanks in the right spot, that's also important. MMA gonna try to take out a lot of these Hellions. He's actually being flanked as well by some other Hellions, so he isn't gonna lose the small Marauder force in the middle of the map. Right now, supply-wise, MMA is still significantly ahead, 143 supply to 102 during this little battle. So some nice movements there by GanZI, picking off small, isolated forces. We saw him do that against MVP. That's how he was able to break MVP in that series. Just found forces, found weak spots, picked them off. And MVP actually did a very similar style to what GanZI is doing now in some of those games. So he's practiced against a lot. GanZI, though, did the build himself. So these are just kind of the new TVT. It's not that new, but it's becoming the standard, I think. This pre-igniter Hellion type of build is really, really popular. And it forces, of course, the Marauder style from the opponent. As you can see, MMA, again, like you saw last game, reacted to this by making Marauders, because if your opponent doesn't have that many siege tanks, you can use those Marauders very effectively to cut them down and get your siege tanks into position. So GanZI actually running into siege tanks. And like I said, a lot of this is a game of limited information. If you don't know where your opponent's siege tanks are, you can lose a ton of siege tanks to just a few. That's pretty huge. You got to avoid those Xel'Naga Watchtowers if you don't have control of them, and GanZI did not. Using all of his tanks here, and GG! Just couldn't get a third base. Couldn't keep himself in that one. MMA, victorious, advances to the round of 8. He has got to be really happy with the results he's had here recently. The Super Tournament it's a real battleground. It's a real testing ground for players that aren't in Code S, maybe in Code A, maybe not even be in Code A. So it's really good for MMA to prove himself here. But there are a lot of good players in here. There's basically everyone you could ever imagine in the GSL scattered within this tournament. Code A players, Code S players. It's kind of a way to prove himself. There he is, walking out, walking down to the crowd. Gonna get an interview over here. Welcome.
일단 운이 너무 좋아서 이긴 것 같고요.
You just advanced. How do you feel?
좀 부족했는데 일단 이겨서 너무 기쁩니다.
네,
He felt really lucky
선수를
about
이겼기 때문에 뭐 마음이 아프거나 그런 건 없었습니까?
네, 일단 너무 친해가지고.
Does it hurt? Do you feel hurt inside beating a teammate?
워낙 라이벌 관계이기 때문에 그렇습니다.
네, 먼저 물어보실 거. 네. 일단은 그 팀원임에도 불구하고
You said
그렇게
it's
서로
a big
이제 인터뷰를
tournament, it's a
통해서
rival
상대방을
match,
의식을
so.
한다거나 이렇게 견제를 한다거나 이런 모습이 상당히 이제 보는 입장에선 재밌는데 특별한 이유 같은 거라도 있나요?
아니요, 없습니다.
네, 그렇군요. 네.
네, 저도
이어서.
궁금한 게
네.
있는데 이제 항상 멀티태스킹에 굉장히 능한 모습이란 말이에요. 그리고 뭐 동시다발적으로 한두 군데가
You're very
아니라
good at
두세 군데 정도는
multitasking.
컨트롤을 해주고 있는 것 같은데 아무래도 많이 지켜보시는
And, your
팬분들의
micro and
입장에서는
macro are both
어떻게
really
연습을
strong.
하는지 어떻게 연습을 했길래 그런 플레이가 가능할 것인지 굉장히 궁금할 것
How do you
같거든요.
practice?
열심히 움직이면서 상대 병력 움직임을 읽는 게 제일 중요한 것 같아요.
이제
굉장히 어렵네요.
네, 유닛의 특성을 보고 그것을
네.
적극적으로
He tries to read
활용했다는
his
모습을 볼 수가 있고
opponent's
자
unit movements,
이렇게 돼서
which
이제
is actually really
1강으로
true.
올라가게
As you guys watched in
됐습니다.
that game, he's
마지막으로 이제 가고
constantly all over the map, controlling the map.
일단 다음 상대에 꼭 동원이가 올라왔으면 좋겠고요. 그리고 방송 경기에서 동원이랑 멋진 경기 해보고 싶습니다.
네, 앞으로의 선전을 기대하겠습니다. 네, 감사합니다. 자, 문성원 선수 기분이 굉장히 좋은 것 같아요. 그러면서도
That
좀
part wasn't quite translated for me, but not even gonna try to guess what he said. As I was just listening to my translators, they failed me. I know you guys are sitting back in the production room listening to me like, "Don't make me look bad. I'm sorry, you guys, you failed me." So it's like today I don't have my co-casters with me. I'm here alone again, but keep talking to my producers for you guys. The producers are like the invisible and mute co-casters that you guys can't hear, but they help me out a little bit, sometimes less than others. All right, so that game though, very textbook example of how to deal with that type of build. If you've got the pre-igniter Hellion build going against you, you've got to have units to defend. You've got to do good SCV splits. And as you guys have noticed, if you've got just a few units back at home and you do good SCV splits, you'll be fine. But we're going to have a 2-minute break. But we'll go into that second set right after that 2-minute break.